Yay, it's showtime! Bravo, bravo, bravo. What was that one when he said showtime? I can't remember. Anyways, hey, my Legion, how you all doing today? I'm here today to review Saturday Night Live. Now, what happened is Saturday Night Live is approaching its 50th anniversary. And I know last year around, November or something like that, there was a movie called Saturday Night that came out. And it was like, basically, it was like the madness, like 90 minutes of madness before the very first episode of Saturday Night Live aired on TV. And they didn't even know, like, the studio wasn't sure what they were going to do. They didn't have faith in Lorne Michaels. They were going to show, if it went belly up, they were just going to show a rerun of Tonight Show. And I thought the movie was brilliant. It didn't do well at the box office. The budget was between 25 and 30 million. I don't know how, but I assume it was all filmed in New York. And I assume I have to ask Anthony about this. That New York locations are expensive. And I mean, I made like around almost 10 million off a $25, $30 million budget. It's a brilliant movie. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. It's a great movie, but I mean, I don't know. Kids today, I don't understand kids today. I'm an old man. Anyways, I remember last week I did a Silent Live review of it was that XCX lady that was like, hey, Tim. He is, Tim. He is. I know you understand all this stuff. XCX, she was doing like hosting and musical guests, and then she was doing all skits. She was doing actually did a great job, even though that episode, that wasn't the greatest episode though. But I think she did a great job though. Anyways, what they did tonight was they ended up. I had to watch this because I didn't know what they were going to do. They end up rebroadcasting the very first episode of Saturday Night Live because I think that 50th anniversary is coming up. I don't know if that's tomorrow or I gotta get my thoughts straight about all that. And I definitely want to do like a live review of that too after I'm done watching it. Anyways, the very first episode, it was hosted by George Carlin, and the whole the way things are you're used to seeing structured now at Saturday Night Live was far different back then. But I mean, they always start with a cold opening, and they had that was the very first skit, and it was John Belushi and the guy Michael O'Donoghue, who people might not know, but he was the one that he was a writer and performer on SNL, and he made a movie called Mr. Mike's Mondo Video. It was supposed to be like something he did that was supposed to play on NBC on one of the days the Silent Live did not play. Because I mean, back in the 80s, they had the main event, Silent Night main event, which was like wrestling broadcast once a month on NBC, which was great, And then Mr. Mike's Mondo Video was ruled like too hot for TV or too controversial or stuff like that. I didn't think it was that bad. And he actually took the movie theaters. I didn't see the movie theaters, but I'm renting it in Germany. I'm not in Germany in Fort Detrick, Maryland, right? Now one guy Speed was like, I don't know, he gave me shit for it, but what happened was they ended up showing it on TV anyways, because I remember seeing it though. Because they had that skit where they were throwing the cats in the water to make them swim. That's the thing I really remember from that. And Mr. Mike's Mondo Video was like those old Mondo shockumentaries like Mondo Cane, especially Mondo Cane. It was in that form, in that format. I thought it was all right. I mean, I tried to watch it now. It's like, it's not as good as like the regular episode of Silent Live, but it was just a bizarre show. Hey, what's up? And then, anyways, let's go ahead and go to reviewing. I took notes on it. There was a lot of skits in these. The skits were a lot shorter than on average Silent Live. There were like 27 different things that happened on the show. Anyways, let's go. Like I said, the cold opening was John Belushi as this Russian immigrant, and then he comes down with a bag of groceries, and there's a guy on like a little. They're both on little chairs, and he was reading him, teach him how to do English. And this was like they rehearsed this in that movie Saturday Night, which I saw. And basically, it was like he was telling him the what to say. It was like, "I want to feed your fingers to the Wolverines," and then John Belushi would repeat it, and then he would say a few more things, and all of a sudden he had a heart attack, and then John Belushi go, and he had a heart attack, and then Chevy Chase comes out and says, "Live from New York, it's Saturday night," and that was a classic skit, but I mean, it wasn't the best cold open. I give that like a 9 out of 10. Next was George Carlin doing a monologue. Now the monologue is a lot different because they wouldn't have like a stage that overlooks the audience. This one they had like a thing where like he was like in the middle, like he would walk out in like this little platform and be like surrounded by the audience, and then George Carlin would do. Now George Carlin just did skits, his comedy, but hey Gordon, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for coming here. Now I bet you would appreciate this episode of Silent Live, Gordon. And he would do like he didn't do any skits with the cast at all. He just did his own bit, his own stick. And the one thing with George Carlin, he would like, because they were talking like, I know Jay Leno was talking about how different George Carlin was, or Bill Maher, from like Richard Pryor would just go in free and do free form jokes and crude it and stuff, and where George Carlin would have his own material and he would just fine tune it. Oh, fine. It was great, Gordon. You missed a great episode, but he would just fine tune it. And then George Carlin, they showed. What I'm here to do is review the very first episode of Silent Live that they're showing because their 50th anniversary, right? And George Carlin was the very first host of Silent Live. And like I said, he was on this open platform, and basically it was a skit between football and baseball, meaning like football was like his big militant, angry, aggressive sport. And baseball was more like friendly, old-timey stuff, where like football is more strict and stuff. Oh, yeah, he was great. It's like, in football, you wear a helmet. In baseball, you wear a cap. In football, you play in a stadium. In baseball, you play in a park. Like, stuff like that. It was great. Oh, yeah, that was great. Well, he did like, oh, I love that too. It was shit, piss, cocksucker, bitch, cocksucker, fart, tits, or something like that. I'd have to look it up. But he did, I do remember it though, but I didn't memorize it. But he did, there was an episode where he did like, I don't know if it was Carlin Carnegie or something like that. I remember buying some of his comedy tapes, not buying, but renting them when I was in, especially Fort Gordon. He had like, yeah, motherfucker tits, yes. There you go. And he did a whole bunch of other things like the yodeling and the golly and all. He did a whole giant list of them. He added on to it though. But that was a brilliant skit between him, football and baseball. My favorite George Carlin skit was the differences between dogs and cats. You know, I thought dogs have eyebrows, and he would do the thing, and then cats look at you cold and stuff, and it was great. That was my favorite skit of George Carlin, the difference between dogs and cats. And like I said, I love this episode. I thought it was really funny. Next is the commercial for New Dad, and that was the one like it's done weird because a lot of these ones were done like separately, and they're talking about like it was, and when I first saw it as a kid, it was a little disturbing to me because the way it was just so quiet. It was so quiet, and it said like you have a great family and stuff. Well, what happens if something happens to your dad, and then you show that dad X out, and then all of a sudden, like, the kids are bummed out, and all of a sudden you see new dad come in, right? As a new dad, and once the dad's gone, like, he'll be replaced by another dad. Chevy Chase comes in and says, "Hey, dad," and then you see him and the wife making out, and then you see Chevy Chase putting a face of him over the face of Dan Aykroyd, which was really funny. That was a 10 out of 10. That's a classic skit. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things on it. And then right away, okay, immediately after that, they had a musical guest. But usually a musical guest into like a half hour in the show, right? But right away, they had musical guests. They had Billy Preston on. And I'm like a big metal guy, but I love 70s and 80s music, right? I love 70s music especially. Billy Preston was on singing Nothing for Nothing. Like, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You're going to have something if you want to be with me. Nothing for nothing leaves nothing. Got to have something if you want to be with me. Not trying to be your hero, because that zero is too cold for me. I'm not trying to be your highness, because that's minus. Too low to see, yeah. I mean, that was a great song. That was a 10 out of 10. I mean, this is like a celebration of comedy and music and stuff. And heaven forbid if I think something's funny. I'm an asshole if I think something's funny. But I mean, I moved on. I rose above. I moved away from certain people. But I mean, if I like you, I like you. Oh, I know, Gordon. I know, Gordon. I know that. I know that. I know. Well, he did. George Carlin did a bunch of stuff. He did that Willie Wino stuff. He did Wino Radio. And he did he was on Welcome Back Carter. He did a ton of stuff. I'm just telling you about on Saturday Night Live. I mean, he just did his bits on it, and they were great, regardless, right? And like I said, they have 2 musical guests on the show, but it's a celebration of comedy and music. It's really a perfect episode. But they had absolutely no faith. The studio had no faith in Lord Michaels, according to the movie Saturday Night, and they were just going to show rerun a Tonight Show. And then they finally said, okay, let's go. Let's run it, and it became a ratings hit. Next to go is this courtroom they had with Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin would like to witness, right? I remember, yeah, Ringo Starr. Also, Gordon, check this out. Alec Baldwin, they made a Thomas the I never watched it, but Thomas the Tank Engine, right? They made a movie. They made a big budget movie, and I think Alec Baldwin was the conductor for that one. Because they made I never saw it, though. I mean, I never really watched Thomas. I knew of it, though. I know the toys are expensive. The Thomas the Tank Engine toys are way expensive. I know that. But they're kind of cool. Next was the courtroom, and it had Jane Curtin as the witness. And they were saying, will you tell what the defendant said to you? And said, I can't say it. I can't say it. You have to say it. And the judge said, you're under court order to say it. And she said, is it okay if I just say it on a piece of paper? And I said, okay, you can do that. She wrote down a piece of paper. She showed it to the judge, right? And the judge's like, oh my God. And then she showed it to the one lawyer, to Garrett Morris. Oh man. I mean, they didn't say that. They just looked offended by what she wrote. Then they sent it to gave it to the other lawyer that was Chevy Chase, right? Wow. And then he just took it to the jury, right? And then it's they passed down, they were shocked. And then John Belushi they showed John Belushi, and right next to her was Gilda Radner, who was sleeping, right? He nudged her and he showed her the letter, and then she looked at it and she went like this, okay, to him. That was brilliant. That's a classic joke. Oh, I like that. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Hippie Skip. Oh, George Carlin was in so many movies. I'll tell you what, if you want to see it, he did a TV movie, right? Well, I give that court thing a 10 out of 10. A great joke. If you want to see that, he did a movie that you might not have seen with George Wallace, the comedian George Wallace, right? Called Working Trash. That was a TV movie on Fox. Most people haven't seen it. If you want to see it, Gordon, I might be able to find it on YouTube. I can send you a link to it, okay? Because I saw that. It's about these guys that were trash men, right? And then they won the lottery and they became rich, It's a good movie. No one remembered it, though, but I mean, it had big stars. And then George Carlin had a show on Fox that was a great show, like a situated comedy. It was good. Still like that show. Okay, next was Andy Kaufman. Because they have lots of different comedians, not just George Carlin on the show. They had more musical guests on. It wasn't like the traditional show. Next, they had Andy Kaufman. And Andy Kaufman did that his classic bit of Mighty Mouse, where he just stood and he played the Mighty Mouse song, and he goes, "Here I come to save the day," and that was it. I mean, he would just stay silent. I mean, that was his way of doing comedy. As a kid, I didn't understand. Now I think it's brilliant. I mean, he was like one of the world's first trolls, right? And he would do stuff to piss people off. 'Cause I remember, like, he did like a thing he did something on PBS I wanted to see called from a live from off center, like this live broadcast. And then at the very beginning, they'd have the end broadcast. He put the ending credits up, and he did it all backwards, right? I think I wanted to see it. Dad said, "Sorry, you missed it." Well, it just started. You missed it. He made me turn the channel, and then he started the show. Because my dad, there's no time. My dad hated Andy Kaufman, anyways. He did some TV special at 9:00, and Dad wouldn't let me stay up to watch it because I liked him on Taxi and stuff. And then Dad said, "That was the worst thing I ever seen in my life." My dad hated it. But I mean, my dad likes to laugh at some stuff. But I mean, he can be a curmudgeon, you know what I mean? Next was more George Carlin observations, 10 out of 10. And then he was doing stuff like he was talking about the contrast between jumbo shrimp, because John did that joke too. How can it be shrimp and be jumbo too? It's like it contradicts each other, just like Jeff and Funny. Like that contradicts each other. That doesn't go together. Like jumbo shrimp shouldn't be jumbo shrimp. That doesn't make any sense. Or I mean stuff like that. That was a brilliant thing. It was like 10 out of 10 for that. Next was Janice Ian. For one reason, I kept wanting to call it Joan Baez, but Janice Ian doing the song at 17. Like I said, I'm a big metal guy, but I love 70s music. It started off like, where's that? I learned the truth at 17, that love was meant for beauty queens and high school girls with clear skin smiles who married young and then retired. The Valentines I never knew, the Friday night charades of youth were spent one more beautiful. At 17, I learned the truth. That was a brilliant performance. I give it a 10 out of 10. Now, it's weird, though, because when the song ended, she looked like she was relieved. She looked like she was really nervous on there. And I can just imagine, because that was like in front of a live studio audience, Even though some of the show was really quiet, though. Next was one really good thing, Victims of Shark Bite with Jane Curtin and... Oh, you suck, Gordon. You suck, Gordon. Why don't you try it, Gordon? Why don't you try it? I know. I want to sing. I want to sing a little bit so people know what songs I'm talking about. A lot of, so people know what I'm talking about. I sing okay. I like to sing with Tanya. That's fun. Gordon, you're so silly. All right, next is Victims of Shark Bite with Jane Curtin and John Belushi, right? Yeah, Land Shark. Well, they have Land Shark on this one. This was Victims of Shark Bite, right? And it was like Jane Curtin interviewed this guy that was attacked by a shark, and he said like his hand was bitten, his arm was bitten off, and then it said, "How many times were you bitten by a shark?" And then you see his middle hand goes out 3 or 4 times. Hey, wait a minute, your hand wasn't bitten off. It's right here. Oh, I mean my leg. Your leg wasn't bitten off. You had it folded up right there. That's what it was, but it was really funny. I loved that. It was a 10 out of 10 right there. It was perfect for me. That made me laugh. But heaven forbid if I laugh at anything. Next was a bizarre commercial for something called Jamatol, which was like Chevy, like some vitamins. It was Chevy Chase and Mike O'Donohue saying like, my wife, when I'm with my wife and stuff, we need all these vitamins and stuff. Then he spoke for the wife, and it was pretty good. It was I give that one maybe a 9 out of 10. Chevy Chase was in a lot of scenes. Some of the people weren't in that many scenes at all. Next was Weekend Update with Chevy Chase, right? And it started different things, and it had that famous line about the stamps from the U.S. Postal Service, right? And they were promoting prostitution. They said the stamp itself is 10 cents, but to lick it, it's a quarter, which was brilliant. And then they talked about this series of murders at the Blaine Hotel, right? And you see, like, the only thing I saw Lorraine Newman in said, "Oh, hey, I'm right at the Blaine Hotel, and all these murders have been committed here. This has been a rash of robberies and murders and all this horrible stuff." I can't believe it, And then, they go to a commercial, and then the commercial is for about arthritis, and it's a thing called Try and Open Them. And it talk about how painful arthritis, and it is painful. Arthritis sucks. They talk about neuropathy and rheumatoid arthritis and just pain. I mean, arthritis is the worst. It really is the worst. And he talked how painful it is. And then the thing was called triopenum. And it was in a childproof lock, and the guy couldn't open it up, right? And he's getting all pissed off. And then you see and then you see the thing broken and the bottle broken at the bottom. You get the pills, and it's funny. Then you see like a thing, guests of Silent Life stay at the Blaine Hotel. And I said Blaine Hotel was a thing for murders. That was a big joke right there. They played that perfectly by showing like the commercial, then doing that, right? And then he did another joke about like this bird that was born in at the zoo, and and it was stomped on by this hippopotamus. Oh, I forgot something. I forgot something they don't do anymore on Silent Live. They'll just show like a little script of who's next week. But I mean, right before the weekend update, they had Paul Simon, right? And Paul Simon said, "Hey, I'm Paul Simon. I'll be on next week with doing a reunion with Art Garfunkel." And they showed about who the other people were and stuff. And they said, "Make sure to watch it." And it was like a minute long promo, and that was fine too. I didn't have a problem with that one. Next after that was the Jim Henson Muppets with Scrat and the top of the Mighty Pavat, And they're talking about his wife couldn't shoot darts. And they show like his old wife, right? And they show his younger lady. He was trying to hit on her. Her wife came and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Oh, nothing, dear, nothing, dear." And then he goes to a Scrat, He goes to the Great Pravat, and he says, "I need help." "Hey, Super, how you doing, buddy?" I mean, Landshark was brilliant, though. Landshark was brilliant. I love it. But I mean, there's a movie. Oh, Tim, check this out. There's a movie called Landshark. I reviewed it on my channel years ago. About a shark that comes to land. It doesn't have anything to do with SNL, but it's called Landshark. It's brilliant. Hi, Super. Next was, what was it? It was the Jim Henson Muppets. I said, and they went to the Great Pavat, and he says, "We need your wisdom." And he said, "Well, it's a slow day. I only need 2 chickens." And he said, and they gave him 2 chickens and said, "Oh, I'm the Mighty Pravat." And he says, "My wife can't shoot darts. What's your advice?" And he says, and the Mighty Pravat said, like, "Look up, things will get better." I mean, they said, "Look up, things could be worse." And he said, "I gave you 2 chickens to say, cheer up, things could be worse." And he said, "Yes, you could have gave me 4 chickens." I thought it was brilliant. I liked it. In the movie Saturday Night, they said Jim Henson was not happy with the writing they did for his Muppets characters, I guess, or something. I don't know. Next was more George Carlin doing observations. He was saying, like, why is there no blue flu? Why is there no blue food? There's orange food, yellow food, green food. Why is there no blue food? And now blueberries, they don't count. I was saying, what about blue Hawaii? Blue Hawaii is a flavor. There's no blue flavor. What about blue Hawaii? But I didn't want to like try to mess up his joke though. And what exactly is blue Hawaii, anyways? I got like I think I still have a thing of frozen ice I got for Dollar Tree that was blue Hawaii, and there's supposed to be a blue Hawaii Monster Energy drink. Cause I know when Lil B came over to drop off the thing, she said she would look for it. She couldn't find her. She would have got me one of those. I know my buddy Todd Jumper or Tingly Ted was on there, and he reviewed. He actually did a review of that, which was awesome. All right, let's see what we got now. All right, where are we at? Oh, next was an Albert Brooks film, and Albert Brooks brilliant, and he did a thing called The Impossible Truth, which was like a cross between like the newsreel footage and also the Mondo movies. I talked about a blind cab driver, and like sometimes like the audio wasn't the best because he filmed the thing and the guy was talking. Some of the outside traffic in New York drowned out what he was saying, kind of. And like this blind cab driver, he said he was looking to like a movie projection, the light from movie projector, and he went blind. And so, yeah, the doctor said it would come back to me, right? But I mean, I'm still going to drive a cab. And then this lady comes in the cab and says, the guy said, hey, okay, are there any cars in front of me? She said, no. So he takes off. And there was like more stuff like that. It was pretty funny though. I like him. I give it like a 10 out of 10 for what was it, The Impossible Truth. I thought it was pretty good. Like I said, a lot of these skits were really short. I mean, because if you go to Saturday Night Live now, like skits are like 5-6 minutes. The skits here were like between 2, 3, and 4 minutes. They were really short. They crammed a lot of stuff into this episode. Next was Bee Hospital, and it had a bunch of people in bee uniforms that probably brought about the killer bees. I'm a king, queen, baby, birds around your hive. With him, with John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, right? Anyways, they were at a maternity hospital, and they were like, and then they said like, "Hey, congratulations, drone! Congratulations, Joan! Congratulations, to worker, worker!" And then the one that said, "Stay tuned for next week." And then like Chevy Chase had like a baby that was a queen. That's great. Next was Gilda Radner, and then she was that was a 10 out of 10. That was a classic skit. Oh, she's live right now? Oh shit. Well, I mean, I gotta do my I'll be over to Tanya's, but I gotta finish this review, Gordon. I'll be over to Tanya's in a minute. I gotta finish my review though. Shit, now I lost my next was Gilda Radner, and she got a phone call from this guy for the training school. And it's training school for like standby operators. And basically they were showing them how to answer the phone, say hello, they stand by while I put you on hold for the next guy. That was pretty funny. That was a 10 out of 10. Very silly. Next was comedian Valerie Bramfield. And she was talking about like like I said, they have more comedians, not just George Carlin. And she came out and she was doing like this big skit about like before the football game, like preparing before the football game, right? And she had all these different people on. And no, she didn't have people. She was doing impersonations of people, right? That's what talking to football coach. Yeah, we're going to get these guys. Talk about it when she, hey, how you doing like that? It was okay. You can tell she was nervous, but she did a great job. I give it like a 9 out of 10. It was all right for what it was. Next was another commercial that people don't remember. It was called "Show Us Your Guns," which like they had like this traveling Saturday night van, right, and load up with people. Said, "Show us your guns," and they're showing everyone picking up their guns and stuff, including guys in this robbery. And then the guy in the robbery showed the gun, and then the guy after him was going to shoot him, and he showed him the guns and stuff. And then there was a cop, and the cop couldn't find his gun. That was really funny the way they did it. That was a 10 out of 10. It was a brilliant skit. Now, they did a whole bunch of commercials. I can't find it anywhere. There was a commercial they did like a toy commercial for like these cars, right? And like this racetrack cars, and they showed them having an accident, and then this ambulance drives up and picks up this one guy. I would love to see that again. I can't find it anywhere. And everyone talks who doesn't know what I'm talking about as usual. People usually don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but I mean, it's true. It's a great skit. If I could find that car commercial, that'd be great. Maybe I can look on Daily Motion. I mean, people are talking about alternatives to YouTube, and no one ever talked about Daily Motion. I remember like one guy, Briefs and something, he was doing a Joker character, was talking about going to Daily Motion, but no one ever goes on there. You want to leave YouTube, go to Daily Motion. For life of me, I can't remember his name, because I did like a big thing with what happened to Bunsen's, right? And then he came back up and said what happened, and then there's a whole big argument between them two. I hope it's still in the comments of the channel, though. I mean, I was good friend with Bunsen, and all of a sudden she just disappeared. I don't know. She hasn't done any movies, and she hasn't been on YouTube or anything like that. It's weird. It's been a long time. It's been a long time, but she was always cool. She reached out to me. I met some really cool people on YouTube. Anyways, the Got to Murder was 10 out of 10. Next was George Carlin, and he was doing like his big thing about religion. Like said Sunday's supposed to be God's day off. He rested on the seventh day, right? And then everyone's in church praying to him like, hey, wait a minute, it's my day off. Now, I mean, that was really funny. It was really cool. I liked that one. They talked about God should be God should obey like physical law and stuff. I thought it was a brilliant thing. I mean, very thought provoking about religion because he really was a genius. George Carlin was fantastic. Next was Billy Preston again doing Fancy Lady. I'll do a bit of this. Sorry, Gordon. Where's that? Okay. Fancy lady is masquerading with a heart that nobody can see. Time is wasting there. There's no escaping it. How long will your sweet pleasure be? Fancy lady, you are just a stranger to all the lovers you don't get to know. You try hiding all the broken traces. One love you had there to go. Sorry, Gordon. Did I highlight that? I mean, I'm going to go with the time, but I want to finish this review. I want to finish it because it was like there's a lot to cover in here. This was crammed full of stuff because Saturday Night Live might have like 17 skits, maybe at best. But they had like three different comedians. George Carlin, two more comedians, two musical guests doing 4 songs. I mean, but they did 2 songs apiece, right? Next was where am I at? John Belushi and Gilda Radner. They were doing a simulated burglary, right? And it was like Dan Aykroyd came out saying, "Hey, what's up? We're here from the Trojan Horse Security Company, and they're talking about all these different things that they can sign up for. Like it costs more money. It was like toilet piranha for like they get the teeth when they try it when they want their relief, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And they simulated shooting John Belushi in the back with blanks. And you actually saw the paper squib come out and hit him in the back, though. You saw that happen. And I mean, and then not Gilda Radner, Garrett Morris was out there as his backup, though. That was a really clever skit and showed you how genius Dan Aykroyd was, in that skit. That was really good. I give that 10 out of 10. Next was like a razor commercial for triple track. And like they show like 3 razors and stuff, how it like pulls and then pulls someone and he cuts it off. And it said triple track because it looked like other razors because they have like 4 blades. Some of those razors now have like 4 blades in them, for an extra close shave. And then the guy said, "Yeah, buy triple track because people will believe anything." That was really good how they did that, though. That was a 10 out of 10. A lot of these commercials are not on that list of SNL's best commercials. Because I want to know where that thing is for that car commercial. I mean, that toy car racetrack. I would love to see it again. They talk about bouncy fun ball and stuff like that, and colon blow, but they don't talk about the really old stuff. They do show that Navy commercial. Well, I remember the Navy commercial, they had the most honest commercial I've ever seen because it was like showing like stuff like them like over like flying planes and over all this medical equipment, like this equipment controlling planes. All this really cool, neat stuff. And then they showed them like cleaning bathrooms, mopping and waxing the floor. That's the military for you. That really is the military for you. That was the most. I remember talking to my friend Ray Brooks when I was in Fort Detrick about that. And he remembered that commercial. I said, that was the most honest commercial for the military you ever see. Because I remember they showed you how to, when I was in the reception station before basic, right? We were doing buffer. They showed me how to use a buffer. I taught how to use that. And also they did a thing like, a lot of people didn't want to do anything, right? Because, I mean, the reception station was different. It wasn't basic training, right? And they had it was like a Sunday afternoon and people were chilling out. And he said, like, one of the corporals said, "Hey, we want to learn some marching." And I did. I joined in because it sucks if you're in base training, you don't have like an idea of what to do. Because it'll be a little more hell on, If you're able to get like, I don't know how the Army is now. But back then, if you're able to get a little training beforehand, it helps out a lot. I mean, because when I went to the military, I had no advice at all And then one guy said, don't volunteer for anything. The only advice I ever had before getting in the military, and I just did my own thing when I went in there. And I made it okay. I made it out okay. You know, all these people I say I'm a shitty veteran, they couldn't make it in there. They all suck. Like Phil and Jeff, they suck. Next is Janice Allen. Cause I keep on calling Joan Bias for whatever reason. Janice Allen, Janice Ian. I'm sorry, who did a song in the winter. Let me find that one. Okay. The days are okay. I watch the TV. Oh no, it's different than 17. Okay. Days are okay. I watch TV in the afternoon. If I get lonely, sound of other voices, other rooms are near to me. I'm not afraid. The operator, she tells me the time. It's good for a laugh. It's a really sad song about being alone in the winter and staying warm and stuff. It's a sad song. I mean, it was like it's moving though. I mean, I didn't go to tears or anything like that, but it was a moving song. There's always radio for Diamond. Talk to God, dial a prayer. Are you there? Do you care? Are you there? A brilliant song. I really liked it a lot. That was a 10 out of 10. It was a brilliant episode. Let me see. All right, let me go back to where I was at. I went down 10. That's okay. I just want to do my thing. Next was Tanya was on. Hey Gordon, Tanya was on my live last night. Late last night. You could have what you went. You might have been in the chat. I don't remember. Next was like the closing thing that was like, someone forgot. Well, I was watching Chevy Chase. He was doing weekend updates, and there was a whole bunch of camera shots, and he was looking all over the place. He didn't know where the camera was at. And then he got a little overwhelmed and said, okay, give me a minute before. Let me get caught up. And then he went and he did his other skit. But you can see whenever he's on Weekend Update, he was looking at different places. He thought there'd be all these different cameras. Pretty much here or look here, look here. He was looking at different. I don't think he was completely aware of what he was doing. He's probably nervous because it was really crazy that in that movie, the last 90 minutes before the show started, it was crazy. All right, now last was the closing stuff, and it was different because usually they would have like, hey, I want to thank everybody, Lauren, Mike, for having me on the show, and that whole cast and crew would be on stage with them, and they'd be hugging and stuff like that. Now this when it ended differently, and I guess when they went live, they cut the camera late, and he said, "Hey, I'm here to promote I want to check out my new album and stuff like that." And it would like cut half of that would like cut out of it. And he like dropped the album, and then he'd like walk around like everyone's cheering, and he was going like, "Hey," like that. And at first it started off with Lauren Bud Michaels, and then most of the people had Bud in their names. Not everybody though, but most of them had Bud in their names as like a little running joke towards the ending credits. I give that a 10 out of 10 too. I thought it was a wonderful way to end it. Well, no, I give that a 9 out of 10 because they cut off George Carlin stuff when he's promoting his new album. Overall, I thought it was a brilliant episode. They went like 3 minutes over, and then went to late night comedy or something like that with Byron Allen. Byron Allen, you don't hear the name Byron Allen, but he's like one of the most richest comedians out there. He has all these different properties and stuff. He was no dummy. He had that live comics or whatever it was. Anyways, it was a wonderful episode. I really liked it. I thought it was brilliant. I give it a full-on 10 out of 10, even though a couple of things weren't perfect by me. It was still pretty good for what they had and for the insanity that led up to that episode. It was wonderful. So I give it a 10 out of 10. So I guess that's, let's see what's going on the other thing. But I mean, Gordon, I wasn't going to leave, stop my review to go to another live. Who else is up there? Turbo Z. Oh. Let me block this one guy. Not sure how new this one is, but it was new to me. Oh, cool. All right, let me go ahead and I said I give that episode like a 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I mean, not completely perfect, but I mean, to me, it was. I mean, if you want to see comedy in its purest form, especially on late night TV, check that one out. It's really good. Lots of great musical acts. It was not completely perfect. A couple of things like a 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10, but it was still really good. Definitely worth seeing. You know, George Carlin's brilliant. So I guess I'll end it and see what's going on at Carlos. I mean, at Carlos at Tanya's and forensics up there. So hope you like this review, everybody. Till next time, please take care, my legion. I hope you like the live stream. All right, good night, everybody. Good night. Well, let's do 4114. How about that? But just a way, I'm just trying to see if I can end it and it'll hit exactly 4115. All right. I want to thank everybody for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you, Tim. All right. Here we go. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night.